Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the JQ Edge. Of course, my name is Dr. Brian, and we are ready to rock and roll. So, we're going to start off every morning with our professional card system, and I'll put a link in the chat for you if you want to take a look at those and order them. So, the goal is we're going to go through 80 emotions, 80 emotions. And when we do that, we will be able to focus on how to stay present, how to stay focused, and how to still be your best. In other words, how you can tap into your inner strengths with joy, which you have right up here in your brain, and how you can focus on not reacting, but taking charge. And so, what we're going to focus on literally is alarmed. And I chose alarmed for a couple of reasons. One is that absolutely, positively, sometimes we come into the workplace, and what happens? All of a sudden, fire alarms in our brain keep going off. Projects aren't done. This isn't done. That isn't done. And what happens in the morning before you even get to work with family, with pets, with kids, with grandkids? So let's start off with a few questions. Are you overreacting, or is your concern justified? Are you overreacting, or is your concern justified? So just think about that for a moment. Next, how can you manage your alarm while staying focused? How can you manage your alarm while staying focused? What steps can you take to address this decisively? How can you communicate your concern without panic? How can you communicate your concern without panic? So we're going to do sit, breathe, feel, think, sit, breathe, feel, think, sit, breathe, think, feel, sit, breathe, think, feel. So let's just do that for a moment. I did this morning when I'll share my alarm in a moment. So we're going to sit or stand and take a deep breath in. And I'd like you to visualize your favorite place. What's a favorite place of calm? Those of you who have been watching the show know this by now. Where do you feel most grounded? So for me, it's being at the beach. And I don't get there too often, but I can visualize the feeling and see it in my brain. Let the warm air soothe and calm you. Think, visualize a butterfly or sand blowing around your feet. Let your tension flutter away like a butterfly or the breeze at the beach. Now your alarm turns to restart and focus. All right, if we can stop the share for a moment, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. So here's what happens. We're going to sit, breathe, think, feel. I love the first question that comes up because it is, for me, a summary of what JOYELY can do for you. And I learned this way before I studied emotional mastery and ever met Cheryl Lynn, who is the visionary CEO of JOYELY. I was a grad student, and when you're a grad student, you do an internship, and at the internship, there's always crisis. It's community mental health, and there's always a family or a kid or someone or even a staff member in distress. So I would love this for you all. It doesn't have to be crisis. It could just be alarm. It could just be upset. Ask yourself, is this crisis or emergency or not? And when you ask your brain that question, it will tell you the answer. Most of the time, hopefully, it's not crisis, it's urgent. Urgency, you need to take action. When you take action, when you take action with clarity of thinking and a calm focus, you're going to make the best decision. Now, sometimes when things are, as I like to call it, all agog, all around you, what happens? We need to put a short-term band-aid on it. You might not resolve the issue in the moment. However, when you take decisive, calm, focused action at home, at work, out in public, what happens? At home, people get to know your habit, your new focus. You handle things calmly. You handle things without panic. You take decisive action. It might be a short-term band-aid. In the workplace, it might be a short-term band-aid. And so what really, really, really helps, think about all the things going on in your world personally, professionally, around the world. It's hard to tune that out. And I'm going to keep repeating this. Sit, breathe, think, feel. Sit, breathe, think, feel. Focus. And then ask the question, what's really happening? Then what's the best decision I can make? Right? And so sometimes what's fantastic, what's optimal, what's wonderful is you may not have to take action. You can ask other people to step in. You can have people solve it for themselves. So at home this morning wasn't crisis. There was alarm because when you hear kids screaming, there's alarm. And I just got out of my little home office, went into the main house to figure out what was going on. And I looked at my grandkids and said, you have 2 minutes to solve this on your own, or grandpa will solve it for you, and you may not like that answer. Now, not a threat, but a promise. I don't like to make demanding statements like that, but sometimes you have to just take charge. And so they knew what they had to do. They're old enough to handle things on their own. And when you get to the workplace, you can delegate, even if you're not the boss. So what I'd like you to consider today is how the JQ Edge, the Joyely formula, can help you provide yourself with options. There are always options. If you get nothing else out of this morning's call, I would absolutely love it if you mastered there are always options. There are absolutely always options to solve issues. Now, again, those of you that are in emergency care, you're trained in how to handle the emergencies step by step by step by step. You don't want to skip steps. Yes, there's natural anxiety and tension and adrenaline. You still make the best decisions because you're focused. You're focused, right? There's a very old phrase. I'm sure you've all heard it. It's if you could, if you're going to buy a new car, look up the date it was made. You probably don't want it on a Monday if you've heard there's labor unrest at that company. And you probably don't want it on a Friday because people are ready to rush out. Now, not to cast dispersions on the auto industry at all, they generally do great work 99 to 100% of the time. And we just grow up with these different thoughts. So remember, thoughts become feelings. Thoughts become feelings. So if you can have sit, breathe, think, what are my options? Your feelings will relax. You will be able to focus with clarity. So alarm and panic and overreaction are going to be things of the past. Yes, alarming things or events will happen. You will be in control. So think about this if you're a mom or dad. What would your morning routine look like if you were able to handle the normal hubbub of the distractions kids and pets could cause with focus and clarity, with calmness? Everybody around you will feel that calmness, and it becomes more and more powerful. When you are calm, when all around you is chaos, people will begin to copy you. People will begin to copy you. So you don't have to be the leader. You don't have to be in charge. People will gravitate towards you in the workplace. People already gravitate towards you as mom or dad at home. And so the key is minimize the overreaction, minimize the panic. There is going to be that initial rush, that initial feeling. We all get that. That's part of the human condition. So Joyley doesn't say you're never going to feel the panic. You will. It's the reset. That's the missing link. That's why I keep saying that Joyly and the JQ Edge is the next evolution of personal and professional development, because we've had over 100 years of different therapies and mindset. And here's something. Let me ask you this. How many of you, please put in the comments, put in comments on YouTube, DM me on LinkedIn or Facebook, Dr. Brian Grossman. How many of you have been or even remember taking a course on self-esteem and self-confidence in school? In California, they had that from the 60s all the way through the mid 90s, and then they cut off the funding for that. Now, you've all read probably books on self-esteem and self-confidence. Let me ask you three quick questions. How many of you remember being taught in school, not seeing a therapist, how do you handle a breakup as a teenager? How do you deal with the emotions? We're told these emotions are normal, but there's not a lesson in how to cope and deal with feelings. And now there is. So remember, we think in milliseconds, we think in nanoseconds, thousands of thoughts and feelings race through our brain at any given moment. And we don't have directions. And Joyly, as Dr. G, the clinical director at NERS Clinic, has said succinctly, Joyly and the JQ Edge is the signs, the roadmap, the direction in your brain on how to cope more effectively with emotions, how to handle them, how to take charge of your reaction rather than you reacting to outside events in the world. When you take charge, it's better relationships, it's better communication, it's better health, it's better workplace optimization and retention, and better profits. So with that, I will say thank you for your time today. Please share your comments on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. I'm Dr. Brian. We will see you tomorrow morning, as we're here every morning, Monday through Friday at 7:45 a.m. And we will focus on the next two emotion cards. Have an excellent, joyful day. Thanks for your time today.